Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be doing another belly button piercing related video. In this one I'm going to be telling you and talking about all about the signs of a healing belly button piercing. I get so many questions a day, literally at least 12 questions a day on all my belly button piercing videos, asking me questions about, what does a belly button piercing look like when it's healing, and things like that. So instead of just answering the exact same thing over and over and over again, I figured what the hell, I'll just make an entire video talking about the signs of a healing belly button piercing just to help you all out. If you are new to my channel, this is not the only belly button piercing video that I have. I have a ton more on my channel. If you go down in the description box, you will see a link to my tattoos and piercings playlist. Where I have literally tons of belly button piercing videos. If you just go on that playlist and look at the list, you will see belly button piercing FAQs, how I clean my belly button piercing, all about my belly button piercing, everything like that, how to change a belly button piercing. So anything you could pretty much imagine I have on my channel. So all you need to do is just go into that playlist and check them out and they will be there. One big question I need to cover in this video and get it out of the way, and I even added an annotation in my belly button FAQ video, is swimming. Oh my gosh, I understand that I'm getting asked this a lot because summers are right around the corner and people are wondering, but it's just so overwhelming the amount of times I get asked this question a day is, I'm getting my belly button pierced, how long do I have to wait before I go swimming? You should wait at least 2 to 4 weeks before you get in any kind of water. You want to get over the 2-week period of really bad soreness, and a couple days after you get the piercing is when it's most vulnerable for infection and bacteria. So you really should wait 2 to 4 weeks before you go swimming. It's really not that big of a deal. Depending on where you live, summer can last for months. So 2 to 4 weeks won't kill you. It's just better to do that. So I've had my belly button piercing for about 2 years now. I'll try and go ahead and show you. Okay, so that is what my belly button piercing looks like at 2 years later at this point in time. So there are a few rules of the belly button piercing that I wanted to cover, and it just boggles my mind that piercers aren't telling their customers this, or the customers just aren't paying attention. But when you get your belly button pierced, it takes 6 to 12 months to heal. Not any less than that. Not 2 months, not 3 months, 6 to 12 months is how long it takes a belly button piercing to heal. The reasoning for that is because a belly button piercing heals from the outside in. So even though it may look okay on the outside, that does not mean that's the case on the inside. Because you do have skin below the skin that you can see, and that is still healing. So you really want to make sure that you know that it takes 6 to 12 months to heal. When it comes to cleaning your belly button piercing, clean it 2 to 3 times a day, in the morning, at night, or in the afternoon, wherever, whenever. You can use sea salt, antibacterial soap in the shower works good. The products that I use are antimicrobial soap. I use sea salt, H2 Ocean, all those things will do just fine for cleaning. And if you are on this video and you think you may have an infection, I'm going to go ahead and link my infected piercings and what you need to know video, so you can go ahead and watch that so you can know the difference between a healing piercing and an infected piercing, because that's like the most common thing, is so many people mistake a healing piercing for an infected piercing. Granted, some of the symptoms and signs are a little bit similar, but that does not mean that it is infected if it's healing. So hopefully that made sense. Okay, so some signs of a healing belly button piercing is one, you're going to be a little bit sore. That's obvious. You just had a needle shoved through really tight skin and it's going to be a little bit sore. It will be red. Mine was red for so long after I got my belly button pierced. There will be a little bit of drying / crustiness. You're going to see some pus, maybe a little bit of swelling along with that. So when it comes to when you see pus from a belly button piercing, it'll either be white, off-white, or a tint of yellow. Everyone's different, so it really doesn't matter, what color it is. But if it's like gross yellow-green color, then that's an infection and you have to take care of that in another way, which I will tell you all about in the infected piercings video if you go and check that out. So yeah, those are just some signs of a healing belly button piercing, and make sure you don't mistake infection for healing, or the other way around. Don't mistake healing for an infection. So many people do that. They say, I got my belly button pierced 2 weeks ago and it's red. Is it infected? Not at all. I mean, it could be, but granted, it's more than likely not, because that is like the #1 thing with the belly button piercing, is that it will be quite red for a while. And the signs of healing that I just mentioned could last any day from day 1 to all the way up to 1 year when it's fully healed. It really varies. Like when I got my belly button pierced, it took a full year and 2 months to heal. Like my belly button piercing was not a fast healing piercing. Granted, belly button piercings are not fast healing piercings either. You get a belly button piercing, you have some time before it heals. Like don't just think you're gonna get it 2 months later, you're gonna be changing it all the time, because that's not how it's gonna work. And you are changing it out at 3 months and everything's going good, holy shit, you're lucky, because usually that's not how it works. I remember I changed mine at the 6-month mark thinking it was healed. It was definitely not healed. It was such a pain in the ass. So a full year and 2 months is how long it took mine to heal. Another question that I get asked a lot that I also wanted to cover is when your belly button piercing is red, and people always ask me, how do I get rid of the redness? Unfortunately, there is nothing you can do about the redness. The redness is a sign that your belly button piercing was just pierced, it's fresh, it's healing, it's gonna be red for a while, and there's nothing you can do to get rid of it. Unfortunately, you just kind of have to sit it out and let it heal its way back. So it's not like you can just erase redness from the body. If you have any crusties and you want to clean them off, don't ever pick at it. Just kind of take a warm Q-tip or sea salt and just gently clean around the top and bottom ball to make sure that you get all the crusties off, but definitely don't pick at it or anything like that. And also another thing is that I should have mentioned in the beginning is if you're going to be touching your belly button piercing, whether you're cleaning it, anything like that, make sure your hands are totally clean. Go wash them with some soap and put on some hand sanitizer and you should be okay, but make sure your hands are definitely clean. Another thing that can happen with belly button piercings that I get asked are keloids or hypertrophic scarring. And if you don't know what that is some people will come to me and they'll be like, I have this weird bump on the top or bottom of my belly button piercing, I don't know what it is. And usually when you get a surface piercing, keloids are very prone to happening. For example, they happen a lot on nose piercings. I've had a couple on my eyebrow before. I've never had one on my belly button piercing, but they do happen. So keloids, they're just kind of raised skin. It's just something that happens. No one really knows why it happens. It's just something you have to come to accept when you get a piercing. In order to get rid of that, it's not going to be a quick process. Keloids are very stubborn little things, and they do take time and care to get rid of them. So what I would recommend for that is tea tree oil, which you can get it at any CVS, Walgreens, any kind of like mini drug mart like that, and you can get it for around $10. Sounds pricey, but trust me, it'll be your lifesaver and you'll love it, because what it does is it really dries out the keloid and it'll eventually fall off. Granted, that's not going to happen overnight. I mean, sometimes it does, but most of the time it's not going to go away or happen overnight. So you really, when you have a keloid on your belly button piercing, put it on a Q-tip and apply it to the keloid 2 to 3 times a week, not any more than that, because it is very drying and you don't want to irritate the piercing. And only apply it to the keloid. Don't apply it to the whole belly button piercing. Just make sure it's just localized onto the keloid so it can work and dry out. Another thing is rejection and migration. Rejection can happen, and rejection signs and healing signs are 2 totally different things. When you have a healing belly button piercing, yes, your skin will be red, and redness is also contributed to rejection as well. But rejection, the signs are a lot more ugly than that. I do talk about rejection in my belly button FAQ video, so you can go and kind of check out the signs for that. But just because your belly button piercing is freshly pierced and a little bit red, that does not necessarily mean it is rejecting. And another thing I wanted to cover is migration. And what migration is it means the piercing has moved from its original placement closer to the skin. For example, when I got my belly button pierced, I had quite a bit of skin between the 2 balls. Well, 2 years later, my belly button piercing has migrated just a little bit, and I have thinner skin there. No, it's not rejecting. No, it has never been rejected before. It's just migrated a little bit. It's just something you kind of have to keep an eye on. And if you do notice that yours is migrating a little bit, just make sure that you limit changing the piercing all the time. Just keep one ring in, keep it for a while before you change it. You don't want to keep changing them because you don't want to, push the migration any further. It's not necessarily a bad thing, and it's something that just happens with belly button piercings. Your body just pushes it a little bit. Again, really not a big deal. So as long as you clean your belly button piercing and you take really good care of it and you respect the healing time and you respect the rules that your piercer told you, then you should have a really easy time. Granted, belly button piercings, they're not pretty when they're healing. That's definitely definitely for sure. I wish I kept one picture because while mine was healing, it was just so ugly looking. And this was like a year into it, and I was like, great, I have to take it out because it just looked so gross. And it was red and it was drying, but it turns out it was still just healing. So, I mean, the healing process isn't going to be pretty, but as long as you do everything right, then you have nothing to worry about, and your healing time should be pretty somewhat easy. Okay, so the big question is, how do I know when my belly button piercing is healed? You will know when it's healed when it looks like it did after you got it pierced. So right after you got it pierced, you know, it wasn't red yet, it wasn't crusty yet, it wasn't pussing yet. That's what it'll look like after it is healed. You will have no redness or discoloration. Your skin tone will be totally even. You will feel no pain when you touch it or move the bar up and down. There will be no more pus, there will be no more crusting. Yeah, there will be no more pain. So just things like that. And definitely the number one thing is if you change it and you feel pain when you change your belly button piercing, it is not time. It is not healed. It's not time to change it yet. When you change your belly button piercing, it shouldn't hurt at all. When I change mine, I don't even notice it. I can do it with my eyes shut now, and I don't even notice it. So you really need to take that into consideration, that if you change it and it hurts, it's not really time to be you know, change, and it's not really healed yet. So that's pretty much everything you need to know for a healing belly button piercing. And as far as jewelry goes, it should be nothing lower than 316L surgical steel. It should be either that level or higher, either titanium, 14 karat gold. Just make sure it is a high quality surgical steel. If you go and shop around, make sure that you find a good quality website. Like, I really like chaosfactoryshop.com, I like Body Candy, I like Amazon. Those are just some of the places that I like to go for my belly button piercing jewelry, and I've never had a problem, and their quality of their jewelry is absolutely fantastic. The belly button piercing that you see in the thumbnail and the one I just showed you, that was bought at chaosfactoryshop.com, and they have fantastic quality jewelry. If you're interested, you can go ahead and shop around on there, and they have all surgical steel items. Okay everyone, so that was my version of signs of a healing belly button piercing. I hope it was helpful for you, and I tried to cover as much as I could think of. All the questions I get asked, I tried to put them all in one video. I hope it was helpful. If for some reason I didn't answer your question in this video or any of my other belly button piercing videos, go ahead and ask it below, and I will try to you know, answer it for you as best as possible. Make sure you check out the description box for all of my links and the videos that I mentioned in this particular video. But until then, I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.